One of the biggest fears for people undergoing health conditions like diabetes, obesity is sugar. While traditional desserts are loaded with sugar, there are a lot of FMCG food brands emerging in India that are providing people with options of sugar free, low calorie, healthier alternatives. Today, I have Kiran Shah on podcast with me, who's the founder of Go Zero, an ice cream brand that offers a delicious alternative that doesn't leave us feeling weighed down by sugar's negative effects. Let's get into the podcast. Thanks, Kiran, for joining for the podcast today, and really glad that we could make it after a lot of back and forth. But yeah, I think we are finally here. And why don't we start with a little bit of about you, like what you do, a little bit into your background.
Sure. And thanks, Priyanka, for having me. Excited to chat with you over the next, session of this podcast. So very quickly, I'm the founder of Go Zero Ice Creams and Desserts, and I've been in the ice cream industry for almost close to a decade now. Before that, I had a stint in marketing with Procter and Gamble, based out of Singapore. I've done my MBA from IIM Lucknow. I've been born and brought up in Bombay. So I stayed in South Bombay for almost 35 years before moving to Andheri, where the Go Zero office is currently. Uh, so when I say I have an experience of almost a decade, prior to Go Zero, I was at Apsara Ice Creams, which is my family business, which I joined in 2014 and led that business for almost 8 years before spinning off and starting Go Zero, which is my own venture into guilt-free ice creams and desserts.
So, Kiran, tell us a bit more about what Go Zero is. And so you were doing Apsara, which is again an ice cream brand. Go Zero is also an ice cream brand, but the positioning is a little different. So I would like to know, like, how you first tell us a bit more about Apsara brand, which is obviously your
Yeah.
family business, and then how did you get into Go Zero?
So Apsara is the family business. It's been there since 1971, like way before even I was born. So right? I've grown up seeing ice cream as part of the family business. When I was a kid, I used to sit at the ice cream shop, and me and my dad used to, while he would serve the customers, I would sit at the cash counter collecting cash very happily. That's how I've been, associated with ice creams
Have
for a
you
long
also
time.
done that, like serving the scoop, like taking it from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
counter and
yes,
oh,
yes, yes.
nice.
And as a kid, what excites you is it's such a colorful product. It's such a wonderful and happy product. And when you are actually on the counter and you're serving it out to the customers and you see their happy faces while they're enjoying the ice cream and talk good things about you, it's like just a very wonderful feeling. And so I used to ensure that after school or after college, every weekend I used to go and just be with dad at the ice cream parlor, get a feel of it, just from a very basic handling the cash part of it without understanding much about the business. Uh, so somewhere it was always like at the back of my mind that sooner or later I want to be a part of this and take this ahead. I've seen my dad, my uncle do this for decades. So once I completed my MBA from IIM Lucknow, and just before the final placement, so we're already evaluating where to set up the plant for Apsara. And then I got the offer from P&G, which was an international marketing assignment. And it's one of the best companies when it comes to FMCG marketing. And the offer was just so exciting that I kept the plan to join the family business aside for a few years. Went to Singapore, worked on some very iconic brands like Olay, Vicks, to understand what marketing is all about, what brand building is all about. Before eventually joining the family business in 2014, so that's when I joined Apsara. So from 2015 to 2020, we expanded quite nicely and we reached 100 stores. And then the pandemic struck, right?
Hmm.
And unfortunately, both the waves, the COVID wave one and wave two, both happened in the summer season. So summer is like the critical period for sales, and दोनों ही time पे there was a lockdown. And that's when we realized that it's important to also focus on the online aggregators like Swiggy, Zomato,
Right.
who have like kind of started contributing more to sales. People are ordering food at home versus going out. Learning for
What
me as well.
point Go Zero actually was born?
I saw that post-pandemic, right? A lot of people are becoming more conscious about
Hmm.
their dietary choices, their lifestyle. So pandemic taught them that it's vulnerable. You can't just take everything for granted. Uh, ऑफिसेज नहीं है तो वर्क फ्रॉम होम है, घर पे बैठे बैठे लेजी हो गए हैं, फिजिकल एक्टिविटी कम हो गया है, स्विगी जोमेटो पे ऑर्डरिंग ज्यादा हो गया है, सो राइट वी जस्ट बिंज ईटिंग एक्सेट्रा. So I think that's the time when even at Apsara, for example, we have the
Yeah.
sugar-free, very limited options, but we started seeing the demand increase. So almost
Hmm.
20% of sales started coming from sugar-free, which is when it struck that no, I think there's potential here. And this is the time when we also saw some new brands, new entrants in the market coming and starting trends around sugar-free ice creams, low-calorie ice creams. So एक white space opportunity वहाँ पे दिख रहा था.
Hmm.
So this is when I conceptualized Go Zero, which would be a kind of a better for you or a healthier option, which would be completely sugar-free. Of course, there are a lot of natural sweeteners available like stevia, fructooligosaccharides.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, but the number one thing to keep in mind was that while we were talking about the sugar-free and the low calories, the basic, parameter or the factor why you have ice creams or desserts is, for taste, for indulgence, meeta khate for the sugar rush. So the product had to be such that you cannot compromise on taste. So a lot of
Hmm.
options at that time in the market, sugar-free थे, but there was some aftertaste or some kind of texture loss where you could feel that there is not sugar but कुछ और है इसमें. So we wanted to create a product where uh, taste will be more important. ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए कि ठीक है मैं कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर रहा हूँ या कर रही हूँ जस्ट बिकॉज मुझे शुगर की प्रॉब्लम है या आई एम वाचिंग माय कैलोरीज और आई एम ऑन अ वीगन डाइट.
Yeah.
But I want to indulge myself. I want to get the best tasting ice cream, desserts, you know. So the R&D on Goose Zero started early 2022. So we decided that what ranges are we going to have? Like, what are people looking for when they want healthy options or guilt-free options, right? So sugar was definitely a no-no. Then we had a low-calorie version. We had a vegan range, and we also had a high-protein range where people could incorporate more protein in their diet in a tasty way. And so once we had the recipes which were set and we got our branding done, also we decided that this is going to be a D2C brand. Like we know that after 21, a lot of people are going to order ice cream on Swiggy and Zomato. So that
Hmm.
channel is growing very fast. और आज एक और चैनल उसके साथ में डेवलप हो रहा है क्विक कॉमर्स का. So companies like Blinkit, Zepto, Instamart, where ice cream, because it's an indulgent category and you don't want to wait for half an hour to have your dessert. If you're getting it in 10 to 15 minutes, like that's just amazing, right?
Hmm.
So this channel is also started picking up. So we decided that this is going to be a D2C, where stores pay या retail front pay will not have a lot of investment. The actual investment is relatively low capex, and you can scale faster. So with
Yeah.
that, we launched in July 22. We're not even 2 years in the market, but yet we are becoming the number one guilt-free brand on most of the platforms. So that also, validates the point that you can build a guilt-free brand and yet be indulgent at the same time.
Awesome. A fun question here, that at what scale can you compare Go Zero with Apsara? This is something that I'm sure you would be thinking every single day, but what scale are you guys at?
So as in, are you saying taste-wise or
No, no, no.
sales-wise?
I'm just, yeah, business wise. Yeah.
Business-wise, so after 18 months in the market, we are already 3x of what Apsara was at the same point in my
Mm-hmm.
journey, right? So this growth is much faster because the bottleneck of finding a physical store, taking 1 month to do the interiors, identifying franchise, that's not there.
Hmm.
So we recently partnered with Rebel Foods. So they already have an existing network of cloud kitchens pan India, right?
Yeah.
For us, it becomes very easy to scale because all we need to do is give them a freezer and the ice cream stock.
Hmm.
They already have the location, they already have the manpower in those location costs. So it's a very quick plug and play model. So today I can scale to D2C much faster than I could scale in Apsara with a traditional way. So every year we are growing 3x. So in year two, we are at 3x growth versus year one, and year three projections are also very, very confident.
So this is great, and I hope that this keeps growing more and more as in coming years also. But let's change our gears a bit from more oriented conversation to more health oriented conversations, right? So
Yeah.
my first question to you is that, like, because you have seen a brand grow when people were not aware of, like, they have to be healthy, right? And you have literally seen the behavior in India changing, how people perceive health, right? So can you tell me, like, what is that you feel in last, say, couple of years, from especially from the COVID times? What is that change that you feel in the mindset? Like, if you are interacting with a end user, they are walking into an Apsara store versus they are coming to Go Zero. Like, what's the mindset difference?
Uh, Very interesting, right? Because all these years we've grown up having ice creams, we've grown up having desserts, we've grown up having the processed foods. We never bothered talking about the sugar or all the other elements that are kind of uh, giving you not like the health benefits, are contrary to that. But what's becoming more and more obvious is today the awareness levels are pretty high. Uh,
Hmm.
so while people and this has accelerated post COVID. So over time we've had which is statistics wise, right? Today we have the highest population who is diabetic in the world, and an equal number of people are also pre-diabetic, right? So and this is something which is like a lifestyle disease. So it's not only that sugar ka problem hai, but even physical activity, stress levels, all of these together make you susceptible to these kind of issues. So people are just becoming more mindful about it, right? It's a more connected world today. So it's very easy today for me to find out what's good for me and what's not. So earlier I did not know about stevia, but today we know that these are options which are available, which I can switch and
Hmm.
change. Even in my day to day, let's say a cup of coffee as well or cup of tea as well, right? That's number one. Number two, definitely people are looking at options which are giving them a sense of well-being, right?
Hmm.
It will never be possible to completely switch to a healthy diet, right? I mean, that temptation of having that cheat meal once in a while, or going back to your, indulgent uh, meal once in a while is always going to be there. But people are now putting efforts. ठीक है मैं पहले अगर महीने में 5 बार ये खाता था तो at least I'll start by cutting down on one occasion, two occasions, right? I think you would also be seeing that, at VegFit, as more and more people are
Yeah.
becoming conscious about, their health, how much attention are they paying to their food, and how much attention are they paying to getting their physical activity levels as well. People are crunched for time today, so they want quick fix, right? So
Hmm.
even while they get 30 minutes at home in between of their work, they will probably go on to a YouTube or an online tutorial and just see what exercise or what routine can I incorporate into this. And while I won't completely give up eating out, can I at least make sure that whatever I'm consuming is not going to be detrimental to me in the long run, right? So, ये awareness आ रहा है. There's also a whole wave of influencer marketing which is happening around it, right? So we keep seeing posts on LinkedIn by Revant, who's the food farmer who keeps educating people about, please read the packaging, please see what's in it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether the claims which these companies are making are correct or not. So I think that awareness is now started happening, and in general I think the Gen Zs and the millennials are just becoming more aware of this. So over the next 5 years, uh, the consumption of healthy snacks and foods in general, and not just ice creams and desserts, is going to double. So next 5 years, we will see a lot of brands who will either start a completely better for you category, or we will see existing brands starting to give offerings which are healthy and better for you. For example, you will have Coke coming up with Coke Zero. You will have a natural and Apsara coming up with sugar free. So while the core proposition will still be around your, indulgent products, but they will start recognizing the fact that along with this, there is also a growing demand for healthy and better for you products.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, like you were mentioning about the number of people having diabetes and pre-diabetes, and this is very sad for me to sometimes even come across Indian audience. So I primarily am coaching a lot of people across the world, and they are obviously Indian. So even at age of 28, there are people like having some symptoms around pre-diabetes. Unfortunately, the way medical sciences sees that your HbA1c level has to be at a certain level, only then they call you, okay, you are in that zone, right, where you need to start taking care of. But as a nutritionist, our red alert starts way earlier, because whatever is happening to you today, you actually seeded it like a year ago or 2 year ago or even longer, right? So for us, it becomes very alarming. And I think that whatever we can do in terms of changing our lifestyle practices, what we eat, how we are moving, exercise, being more mindful about this is really, really going to help you in long term. So there is no two ways about it. And diabetes is the worst. Honestly, it's the worst.
And what's interesting is that people don't realize this until there are some signs, right? Like you have done your annual checkup, और उसमें अभी कुछ indicator आया है, or
Yeah.
you started getting. So I think the awareness, and that's where I think you would be also doing a fantastic job, is that how to bring the awareness that prevent this before it happens to you. मतलब अभी से आप lifestyle changes करो ताकि ये होने के बाद आपको regret ना करना पड़े.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if I would always say that a checkup is always helpful if you are not waiting for the symptoms to surface, because when the symptoms are surfacing, the damage is already done.
It's
Uh,
already done. It's already, yeah. Now it's
yeah.
already damage control.
So it's a damage control, which becomes even more difficult, right? So reverting diabetes is possible, but I would always say that being more proactive is going to help you and make the whole process a little easier than, when diabetes is actually knocking at your door, and then that's when you are trying to make changes to it. So yeah. Um,
And less stressful as well, right? Once you know you diabetic, now the stress is like
yeah.
there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of things that actually having a higher dosage of sugar is bringing into our lives. It's obviously diabetes is one, which is the host of a lot of other diseases. You are aging way faster. There are a lot of, you see that in your hormonal balance goes for a toss when you are consuming a lot of sugar in general, right?
So I have one question. Like, this is a podcast with you question, but I think very interesting and fascinating. What I've always wondered is now, do you see this trend in a particular age bracket where this seems to be rising more exponentially now?
Yeah, so I think people are aware, but honestly, the way we have been seeing our health has mostly been reactive. And still, I think people have been through something in COVID times, but I think our memory is really bad. So still, I won't say that proactive nature is coming. Only the people, I would say, they are uh, say about 35 plus, they are realizing a lot of things, because obviously the energy levels are dropping. They are seeing that, something or the other is popping up. Like obviously the blood test
There's a
reports
lot
are.
more responsibility work-wise as well. Like as you grow in
Exactly.
your career,
Work, personal, and when you have kids, this awareness, the urgency becomes more to take an action,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It is like people know that, okay, I'm supposed to eat healthy and all of that. That's like a new thing. But I still see that the younger population is walking away with it. Like, yeah, I mean, I need to take care of my body. I'm still young. It's not harming me, because today you don't see it. The
Hmm.
symptoms are way later. And I think that people are still okay with the symptoms. Like, for example, if I have a little bit of back pain, yeah, it's okay, it'll go. I'll go to a physio, he'll help.
Yeah,
Similarly
yeah,
for other symptoms also, right? That if the energy levels are going down, I'll just take a nap, right? So that's the thing. But having a low energy level, and if you are like 26, 28, 30-year old even, that's an alarm for you. But I don't think like the reaction and the action happens a little late in the game. So to precisely your question, I think above 35 is a very, very clear ask in terms of what do I need to do now. So yeah, I see that happening. So Kiran, now I want to understand and discuss with you more specifically around the sugar derivative. So let's say we have established the fact that sugar is not something that we should be consuming on a daily basis. Still, people think that all the sugar substitutes are bad. Like there's sugar free, and then there's like people are talking about no, this is bad, this is not natural. So, first is in Go Zero ice creams, what are the sugar derivatives or the substitutes that you are using? And what is your thought process here? And how did you guys even come up with this whole idea of using which one is the best from the health angle and the taste angle?
very, very important question, right? When a brand is, going off sugar and deciding to make products completely without sugar, what becomes very important is that what exactly are you then going to replace it with,
Hmm.
right? Uh, so in ice creams, sugar plays two roles. One is of course the sweetness. So जो sweetness होगा वो sugar से आएगा. And the second role which it plays is to give a freezing point and a body to the product, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, third, of course, the calories. So today, in a regular ice cream, which uses almost 17 to 18% sugar, you would have almost 250 to 300 calories per serve, right?
Hmm.
Now, the first point or the first objective of Go Zero as a brand is to cut down on the calories. So once we remove or replace the sugar, uh, then there is a whole world of sugar substitutes which is available, right? Uh, now there are certain do's and don'ts which FSSI lays down the guidelines in the framework. So these are called as nutritive sweeteners and the non-nutritive sweeteners, right? And even within that, there are artificial as well as natural. So, for example, aspartame, that is an artificial non-nutritive sweetener, and then you have, let's say, for example, stevia, which is a natural sweetener, which is non-nutritive. Non-nutritive meaning वो calories add नहीं करता है, so there is no nutritional value of that particular product. Uh, Now that said, uh, just like sugar in excess is like not good. In general, there is a saying that anything in excess is not good for you. Similarly, even with the sugar substitutes, right? So there has to be a very specific dosage which you are going to use for these sugar substitutes as well, right? So one is, of course, we follow the FSI guidelines, right? Whatever the FSI guidelines says regarding certain sugar substitutes, we have to follow that. And second, we also want to ensure that the uh, sweetener is not artificial. So one is that it will always be natural or plant-based. So stevia, for example, is plant-based. Fructooligosaccharides is plant-based. It is
Hmm.
also rich in fiber that gives body to the product and helps with your gut as well, right? What is the strict no-no for us is any sort of artificial sweetener a kind of a validation on whether it's good for you or if it's in the gray area, then you have to assume that it's not good for you, right?
Hmm.
But today there is established literature that says that stevia in moderation is good for you. Uh, Fructooligosaccharides again in a specific dosage is good for you. In fact, it helps with your gut and intestine as well because it's fiber basically. It's not even sugar. Uh, uh, so I think that is something which we take into account when formulating our product. That while we are cutting down on sugar, and the whole point of guilt-free and healthy. is that even the substitute which we are going to use, it's also going to be healthy or better for you, right? तो
Hmm.
ऐसा नहीं कि हम लोग ने कुछ भी उड़ा के उसमें डाल दिया और sweetness आ गया, etc. For example, today there is another product which is a sugar substitute, which is monk fruit,
Hmm.
right? So, which is kind of a stevia equivalent, has 300 times more sweetness compared to sugar. But again, it does not come in the list of approved sugar substitutes in India, while in other countries it has been approved. Very soon, I think there will be the amended guidelines from the side that monk fruit can be used. Uh, so while we are also kind of doing R&D around the monk fruit, but we know that it is not yet approved by FSSAI, so we cannot use that, right? We trust FSSAI that they will be the custodians of overall F&B with respect to the compliances, with respect to consumer health benefits, right? So for sure, we need to follow what are the approved list of substitutes. But in general, we also have an in-house consultant who is like an expert when it comes to
Hmm.
uh, doing R&D on the sugar substitutes. So with that in mind, we formulate our products, and I think we want it to be crafted in a way that it's safe for age groups alike, right? I don't want just people who have a diabetes problem to be a Go Zero consumer. Somebody who doesn't have a problem, right, can also have Go Zero. Even we are coming up with a range of popsicles where even kids can have it. So we are even cutting down on stevia and just sweetening with natural fruits. So even kids can have a Go Zero product without worrying, without their moms worrying about कि
Hmm.
कितना ज्यादा शुगर खा रहा है मेरा बेटा, you know.
So, looking at that, like the quantity that you are okay with having on a daily basis, let's say if there's a certain portion of stevia, right, that you can consume on a daily basis. So, if somebody wants to eat all the ice cream today, Go Zero, like how many scoops is safe to have? Do you have that number?
So yeah, so there is always a percentage of RDA, which is like the recommended dietary allowance, right? Ki let's say 2000 total calories is what an average individual should consume. उसमें से
Hmm.
इतना calories Go Zero से आता है. So if you divide that 2000 by that number, let's say it's 100. So you
Oh
can easily have
yes.
20 scoops of Go Zero
Okay.
without any problem. But I mean, of course, we should
Of
not,
course.
because then where will your other, so it's always a balanced diet thing, right? And which is where we talk to people like you who give a more holistic and balanced approach on nutrition and well-being, because desserts is what I do for a living or sell for a living, but we want to ensure that consumers are having a well-rounded and holistic approach to their overall calorie intake and diet.
Yeah, I think I would like to add that here that I am somebody who always believes in this whole lifestyle concept. And you see my mug also. So we got this thing printed where it says that, the
Wow.
fitness is a lifestyle. So this is a VegFit branded mug. So that is where I think I also created one video where I said that if you are on a healthy living, weight loss, fat loss, whatever journey you are on right now, you have to keep desserts as a part of your lifestyle. Like I am somebody who goes against saying that leave dessert. No, if you like it, have it, but ensure that what is the right way of having it and what is the right dessert. And I think we'll also be, coming up with this whole guideline around how to have desserts in the right way. I think by the time this podcast comes in, that guide will be ready, should be out for anybody to download for free for sure.
Yes, we
So,
want to live a boring life, right? We don't want to take the fun of living out of people's lives.
yeah.
Like mithas nikal देंगे, desserts nikal देंगे, then where's the fun?
Yeah. And other thing is like you were talking about the artificial sweeteners, the natural sweeteners. Since stevia, monk fruit, and other sweeteners that we are using these days, they are 300 times more sweet. The whole quantity that we are consuming is very less, extremely, extremely
Great.
less, right? So a lot of people are still averse of the fact that, hey, this is not sugar and this is not natural. So, funnily, and my question to them is that like sugar is natural? No, right? So it's not. It's also coming from a plant, and stevia is also coming from a plant. So get out of that stigma. But having said that, you can't have 20 scoops of ice creams in a day. Uh,
So what I'll just like one simple experiment. I think a lot of people would have done. If not,
Hmm.
they can do. Take a spoonful of sugar. Okay, take a spoonful of sugar. Place it on a flame, right,
Hmm.
and let it उसको गर्म होने दो. Heat it. We'll see that after a while it becomes caramelized,
Hmm.
right? Brown हो जाएगा. Keep heating, keep heating till a point where the hydrogen and oxygen will completely go, and all you are left with is black caramel. That's it.
Hmm.
So that's the chemical composition of sugar,
Hmm.
right? So it's carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, which is sucrose. In different combination, that is
Yeah.
fructose, lactose, all the family of sugars. उसमें सबसे ज्यादा जो बॉडी को हार्म करता है वो सुक्रोज विच इज शुगर जो हम
Yeah.
बोलते हैं, राइट. सो वो पूरा ब्लैक हो जाएगा आप उसको मेल्ट करेंगे तो,
Hmm.
एंड दैट इज व्हेन यू
Hmm.
एक्चुअली रियलाइज दिस इज व्हाट्स हैपनिंग व्हेन इट गोस इनसाइड योर बॉडी.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a little different question now for you is, have you eaten something in your like daily schedule that you thought that this is healthy, ये मैं खा सकता हूँ कितना भी, but later you found out, अरे ये तो नहीं था.
So I was always told that tea is very good. Like it has antioxidants,
Hmm.
and it has caffeine, not as much as coffee maybe, but like good moderate amount of caffeine. But it's mainly antioxidants, so it is good for your body. And I kind of became obsessed with having chai. So I used to keep having chai a lot. Then I found out that it's not only टी, राइट, उसमें डेयरी भी जा रहा है, उसमें शुगर भी जा रहा है. तो काफी सारी चीजें उसमें जा रही है. बट द मोमेंट इफ आई रिमूव डेयरी एंड शुगर, ब्लैक टी तो मेरे से पचे, मतलब आई विल नॉट बी able to have black tea, right? So then you realize that I like tea, but if I'm just going to keep guzzling it every hour,
Hmm.
over a period of time, then I'll have all these issues. थोड़ा सा acidity होता है morning में. Then it sometimes kills your appetite. So while it becomes habit forming, and you like, there are a lot of people who सुबह उठते ही पहले चाय चाहिए उनको. Like I was one of them. That like I
Hmm.
can't start my day until like I have to have tea first and then breakfast, right?
Yeah.
So then it is becoming aware about it that it is now starting to do more harm to you than anything. And then you have to force yourself to pause. First thing, you have to drink warm water on empty stomach. Have something, then
Hmm.
go with your chai. So वो slowly habit बन जाता है. But takes time, takes awareness and mindful awareness
Yeah.
to kind incorporate and change your diet over a period of time.
Yeah. Actually, chai and coffee have antioxidants. It's the adding the milk and sugar is what killing.
Correct.
I'll tell you what people are addicted towards. It's not the tea. It's the sugar in it. It's the sweetness in it. So my parents also drink tea and they need it like twice a day. So one day I told them, remove sugar from it. Will you still have it?
Hmm.
And you say that I'm a chai lover, I'm a chai lover. Just remove sugar from it. If you are a chai lover, it's there, right? They'll not have it.
Yeah.
So I mostly consume black tea and black coffee. I love having chai or coffee with milk, but that is very occasional for me, on obvious reasons, right? So, and I think I started enjoying the after effect of black teas and coffees. So I'm okay with it now, but it takes time for you to change that practice, and you have to tell yourself what you're doing wrong. First thing in the morning, having tea empty stomach is like literally killing your gut.
It is literally killing. Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
Kiran, now coming to the health food brands, right? There are plenty coming in the market these days. Uh, do you have you like top three pick, right? That you think that these brands are really good, like they have good healthy product, their market is good.
Including Go Zero or apart from Go Zero?
Apart from Go Zero, मतलब Go Zero हो जाएगा तो फिर दो ही स्पेस बचेगा.
ठीक है. So I think when it comes to desserts, right? So my topic is, and I've tried their chocolates and I've really liked it. Uh, it's not commercial yet. It's available at a very limited uh, uh, locations and touch points. So there is a guy called a diabetic chef. So his
Okay.
name is Harsh Kedia, and he was diabetic from the age of 13, I guess, and
Mhm.
he was not able to enjoy ice cream, desserts, and that led him to creating a range of sugar-free chocolates and desserts. And this is something which I tried and I was like blown away. Amazing products. But again, not commercial, so market में मिलते नहीं है. The other
अच्छा.
brand is very popular is the Whole Truth. So they have also come up with very clean products. Chocolate bars. They've come up with a nice protein powder as well.
Yeah.
Uh, but in Bombay, I think a diabetic chef makes some amazing guilt-free chocolates, and they've even come up with a mithai brand which makes like sugar-free jalebis and rabdi malpua, like amazing stuff. I think in snacks, there are two brands which I've tried and I've liked. Uh, One is Open Secret. So they have a range of
Hmm.
namkeens and so I tried their bhujia save, which was like delicious and it was not like of course oil nahi hai, fried nahi hai, so very clean that way. There's another a friend who started a brand called Tags Foods. So they are kind of the chip replacement. So they replaced your
I've
Lays
tried.
and other uh, fried and baked chips with popped chips. So popping is that process where again there's a less carbs and so that's delicious. I think so. I think there are a lot of amazing ideas which people are now coming up with in terms of healthy snacking, healthy foods. That's number one. And if you look at all of these brands, right, there's also a lot of VC backing that's happening in this category. So brands are being funded. The VC industry is betting on this segment for the next 5 to 10 years to shape the perception of snacking and healthy eating in the population. So I think from here it's very interesting to see how some of these brands go on to scale and give a competition to the uh, incumbent brands जो
Hmm.
सालों से फ्राइड चिप्स sugary products कर रहे हैं which taste में तो एकदम like if you can't stop at having one, you keep on munching, but it's
Hmm.
going to do you more harm than good in the long run. So I think that's interesting to see how it shapes up.
Awesome. So I just would like to add one insight here that a lot of even the baked products that are coming, uh, in terms of calories, you actually may find it that they are pretty close to the mass products. But clarifying
Yeah.
something here is that where is your calorie coming from? That's one.
Hmm.
Because a lot of these healthy food product brands are using better quality products in terms of the oil is better, the raw material,
Hmm.
the raw ingredients are better. So even if the calories are pretty close to your mass unhealthy products, but then you are getting slightly healthier options, right? If at all you have to choose to snack for these brands than the unhealthy ones. But I always say that on a daily basis, stick to as much as your home cooked meals, home cooked snacks as much as you can. But yes, I think there are a lot of companies that are doing good, and I think people started talking about that. This is not good, like the packaged snacks are not good. I'm just always about this like balancing this act. You can't have it every single day, and just because it is baked it doesn't mean that you just open multiple packets of it and just keep popping it because it is healthy. So it's not a meal replacement. Snack is a snack. Have it as a snack only for your taste buds and let it go. Okay.
No,
So now,
absolutely.
Kiran, and sorry, an opposite question for you. What is the brand that you think is not healthy and they are marketed as healthy?
I think I'll go with a brand which has been under the lot of controversy,
Hmm.
which is Bonvita. Uh, I mean, it has been obvious for a while, but it's been called out so much that it's called healthy, and it's ironically it's for kids. And I remember my childhood growing up having like eating Bonvita out of the jar, like not even mixing it with milk, right? सीधा सीधा एक
Yeah.
scoop फोन में निकाल देते थे.
हमने भी किया है, मैंने भी किया है. I love it.
Correct. Yeah, so then mom had to hide the jar somewhere because ये तो
Yeah.
खाली खाए जा रहा है. And as you
Yeah.
said, right, the addiction of tea is not tea but the sugar. So the why
Yeah.
addiction of Bonvita था क्योंकि वो इतना sugar है उसके अंदर, right? And
Hmm.
if kids are not going to, if not monitor कितना आप sugar खा रहे हो, then this brand is actually doing more harm to you than good.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the cost of sounding a bit pompous, but I think that brand is something, and today I think they have reduced the sugar content thanks to the efforts of Revant and other influencers. But I think it's it's a moral responsibility to some extent. I feel when you are selling products to a certain age group as well, right? Kids, for example, you need to be absolutely sure that it's good for them. And these companies have a lot of R&D budget to to come up with better formulations, right? Than just marketing the same formulation for decades. If it's time that there's some new innovation has come, if there's a better substitute available for sugar, which is proven that it's in moderate dosage is good,
Yeah.
I think they should go ahead and reformulate it and not wait for an influencer movement to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. So like a lot of obviously celebrities don't get into the details of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean the brands like I think Akshay Kumar also did an ad, and I was like, I used to feel that he's a genuine respected guy, and then I was like, okay, no, it's not happening. Uh, Sorry?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's
Yeah,
we look up to these people, right? And people
yeah.
emulate whatever you guys are doing. So like it's very
Yeah, yeah. And even I'm like, if a brand is reaching out to me, I want to make sure that I believe in it and I have tried the products. So I want to make sure that like if I'm putting across a message to people who are following me and watching me for this, they
yeah.
have this trust, right? So that's how I want to kind of go ahead and promote any brand, or even like for that matter, I barely post anything that I'm eating, which I would not like people to have on a regular basis, right? Kiran, tell me one thing, like you grew up in a family where ice cream was everywhere, right? So how did you
Yeah.
maintain to stay healthy? And currently, what is your regime? Like, do you follow a fitness regime?
I think it runs in my family that everyone is very lean. So
Oh.
I don't think we haven't met in person, but like when you look at me, you won't believe that he's been having ice cream day in and day out. You would expect probably me to be an obese fat kid who's like hogging tons of dairy and sugar right from the time he was growing up. But for some reason, my metabolism is such that it burns it off. Thankful for that. Uh, but I think, and I remember that whenever I was in the ice cream parlors as a kid, I would just look, and if my dad was not watching, I would quickly take a small bite of the parlor and have the ice cream. It was so tempting. And my dad caught me doing that once, and then from then on, he kept a very close watch on me. But I think my like, association with fitness basically started post or during my IIM days, where it was so rigorous, and it was a big campus, and we had to walk a
Hmm.
lot of like kilometers to reach from one classroom to another, back to the hostel, then to the
Hmm.
mess. So walking became kind of part of our daily activity, and let's say we used to take those 2 a.m. walks at night in the cold weather in Lucknow. So I think walking is that is something which I do more for fitness. But other than that, I think uh, there was an incident in 2021 where I think we spoke about that little bit of back problem which happens, and then you visit a physio, and it turns out that the prolonged desk hours, like
Yeah.
at the laptop, sitting down for 8 hours, 10 hours, is something which kind of the sedentary lifestyle leads to this chronic this thing. So I make sure that I take some calls while standing. I don't sit at one place for too much or too long. I
Hmm.
go outside of the office and just take a 5 minute walk and I come back. The office is at sixth floor, so I try to take stairs as much as possible.
Hmm.
Uh, so I think even if, let's say, we don't have dedicated 1 hour to hit the gym or do a workout, there are so many incremental or small things which you can do as a habit in your
Hmm.
daily routine.
Hmm.
So that is something which I consciously do. And my wife is after me to start yoga, but I think that will take some time. But I think that yoga is next on my mind.
And here on, I think I will be kind of pushing you for getting into strength training for sure.
Yeah,
That's my
it's
agenda.
important. You always need that push, right? And need somebody to push you, and then it becomes a habit after a while.
So honestly, I think people around me sooner or later pick it up. And like you were saying that like going to gym for an hour, it's not required. So I always say that 10 minutes, just 10 minutes a day.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
every activity has its own space in our life. So I have nothing against yoga. I do yoga at least 3 days a week. So I spend at least 15 minutes post my workout session doing stretches and yoga movements. But everything has a space, right? So doing, say, basic cardio movements, walk, running, and then strength training. So if I have to pick anything out of these, I would always keep strength training at the top, just for the reason that the ROI, which we keep talking, right? That's the highest here. And then obviously there are other activities. So I'm not going to say that we remove all of it. But see, walk is something that I don't even count this as an exercise. Walk is something that all must do, right? Be active must do.
Easy. Yeah.
Then the exercise, the dedicated exercise is important because uh, see the movement, right? Like I'm sitting right, like in a certain posture. Now I have to do a movement which is anti my posture, right? Something that I'm in this position, right? So we are walking forward, we are sitting and like this, right? So something we need to do to kind of do the reverse
Uh,
movement of it, right? The back pain is mostly for the reason that the spine is in a certain state, so we have to do the other movement to kind of compensate for that. So strengthening of those muscle groups is really important, and that is what strength training does. So even if somebody is lean, it does not mean that they have that muscular structure and the strength to kind of stay lean forever or stay fit forever. So that is really, really important. Um, Now I have one last question for you, is that in your, I'm sure you were part of a lot of founder community, and I am always looking out and reaching out to people, especially startup founders, who have a certain healthy lifestyle and regime. And I have difficulty finding those people. So I want to know that in your circle, who are the top three fittest people that you would choose, and maybe I will reach out to them for my next podcast.
I think the first person that comes to my mind is Arjun Vaidya. I don't know if
Sorry, can you
you
repeat
know
that?
him. Arjun Vaidya.
Okay.
So he's the founder of Dr. Vaidya's. Like me, it was a family business,
Yeah, yeah.
and now he's an active angel investor, and he is somebody who's like fits right into my type of founder who's been off sugar for a while, runs marathons, stays fit, practices sport, and in general is just and you can see it in the energy with which he carries himself. He's always bustling with energy, like even at 10 p.m. in the night. Like most of us are
Yeah.
like would slouch and say that boss, abhi theek hai, ho gaya, I'm done for the day. And this guy is brimming with energy, right? So I think definitely you should reach out to him, and I think there'll be a lot to take away from him as well. A couple of other folks who I know, not personally, but I think they are always somebody who I keep following for the kind of fitness content they put out. And recently, I think Nikhil Kamath was also in the news, for his for that milestone which he had. But in general, he's a very fit guy and very a fitness enthusiast. So that's something which we all need to be mindful of. That yeah, it can happen to anybody, and we need to take care of our body before anything else, right? So I think two people which come to my mind. Otherwise, I am surrounded by people who are in the dairy industry, and I don't think that they would be the right people to talk to. Maybe they could be somebody who could enroll and tell the boss, this is not where you should be today. Let's take your fitness levels to a different level.
Yeah, sure, certainly. So I think since we are talking about Mr. Kamath, so even like somebody asked me this in person that if the fittest guy that we all know around can go through, a situation like this, then what's the point? So that's the exact question. And I was like, see, he goes through a lot of stress. He has a very different lifestyle than we all have, right? So this can happen, and plus personal situations, right? So obviously, a lot of things we don't know about. So, but one thing is for sure that somebody who follows a regime uh, will bounce back way faster. So all the people, like for example, even I when got COVID, I think I was good and with full energy in a day or two max. So where saw other people struggling to get back to even a normal routine like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or even longer. For me, it was way faster. So the bounce back happens. Your body has a memory, your muscle memory is there. So don't feel that if something has happened to Kama, that means that this all fitness talk is all nonsense. That's not how it works.
I get this feedback so many times, right? And this is one of the one line which people keep saying, "Yeah, एक ना एक दिन तो सबको ऊपर जाना ही है, might as well enjoy life." And I said, yeah, एक ना एक दिन जाना है, but वो दिन कल नहीं होना चाहिए. You should at least live a wholesome, good life, and do what your calling is. Live a life well led, and
Yeah.
then ठीक है, let it happen naturally. Let it not be like a shock to your near and dear ones.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree to that. So with that, I think we have come to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much, Kiran, for this conversation. And I have tried Go Zero ice cream myself, and I really like the chocolate flavor. So, guys, if you're watching this, do give it a shot. And as I always say, desert should be part of our lifestyle. We should just know when and how. So, if you are looking for guidance around that, I'm going to give a link to a quick guide in the description below. So, please take a look at that. So, thank you so much, Kiran, once again, and hope we meet soon in person. So, and then I can probably
Absolutely.
have go take you out
My
for a strength training workout routine for that day.
good night. We'll definitely catch up.
Sure, sure. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.